2 parts unknown.
Life is good. What do we do have a problem?
I voted that we turn to cannibalism, but
I almost died.
Hope we don't have to starve.
Then it gets better.
We're burly men hanging in midair. We're getting tired. We've seen the sun. This is a good thing.
This is an amazing place.
The reason I am doing a little play along this game is that I was raised in the northern Canadian wilderness of sorts, in northern Ontario. And I currently live, actually not all that far from where the developers, Hinterland Studios, are currently located. They're located on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada, and so am I. So I feel a little bit like their neighbors, so I thought I'd give this a review in my 2-bit. What I really want to talk about today is how this compares to the reality. I mean, it's obviously stylized graphics, but beyond that, the feel of it. How does this really feel when compared to the reality of winter in Canada? First things first, the trees. Most of Canada is part of what's called the boreal forest, and the boreal forest is made up of millions and millions, and I mean millions and millions. It spans the whole continent, and in some ways it spans the whole planet, because there are similar forests in Siberia and in Europe. And they're all made of these pine trees. So that is pretty darn close to what you would see as far as trees are concerned. The other thing they got really, really, really right is the sound. So there's a wolf. And I was talking about the sound. So there's very little that is more quiet than a winter landscape. There are really not very much sound. The snow actively absorbs sound waves. So this sort of quiet wind is very good. And little sounds. Like you're in the forest and you will hear a twig snapping under the weight of the snow. Or if you stand on the ice, the sound is different. And then when the weather changes, like when the sun goes down, the sun comes up, if you're on the ice, you can hear these deep cracking sounds. And you hear when the ice expands and contracts, and it's got nowhere to go, so it cracks. Like an ice cube cracking, but like 1,000,000 times lower and louder. They have that sound. Oh, there's a wolf. We don't want to go this way. But there's a couple things that they really kind of got wrong. And what they really kind of got wrong is there's not enough snow. I know that seems ridiculous because, hey, there's snow everywhere, but it isn't very deep. It is not nearly as deep as it should be. So what you're looking at here is grass sticking out of the snow, which means that the snow is less deep than grass. So you're probably looking at snow, and then judging by the footprints, you're looking at snow that is 1 inch, 2 inches deep. Then you can bear that out by looking at what's drifting up here. Not enough snow. More snow has probably fallen, given the compressed time frame, since I've started talking, than is on the ground. The snow should be ankle to knee deep as you walk through it, and that's misleading, because that's just walking through it. So as you walk through deep snow, you'll go up to your ankle, or maybe you'll go up to your knee. But that doesn't necessarily mean your boots on the ground. Your boots just compacted the snow under it, and you've stopped sinking. So by seeing all this grass everywhere, what this tells me is this snow is really, really not very deep. The problem, though, is if you make the snow deeper, then you can't see some of the landmarks, like the train tracks, or the logs and stuff. So yeah, no, like if this was Like, these are not heated. That one's heated. But these are temporary buildings. This is a temporary logging cabin. This is designed for summer usage. You can't cut trees down in the winter. They're frozen solid. Well, you can, but it's much harder. These should be half buried. The snow should be up to the windows on the windy side. And they're not. That's just weird. I'm not sure how you'd fix that if you wanted to fix it, because the landmarks are key. You need to know where you are in this game, or you die. And alright, well, the wolves seem to want to be talked about, so let's do that. Wolves, coyotes, foxes are your primary predators in Canada in the winter. I've heard a bunch of other people talk about bears. There are no bears. I mean, they're there, but they're sleeping, they're hibernating. The only other big animal you're going to find out in the Canadian winter is mountain lions, also known as cougars, or snow lynx, but those are very rare. The snow lynx. Cougars, not so much, especially on the west coast. Freezing to death. I mean, definitely we've got our dude Mackenzie here. He's a bush pilot out of Vancouver, from what you can tell, because he's got a thin sweater and that's it. And they've done a really good job of, well, at least playing lip service to the various types of hypothermia, the symptoms. You start with shivering, and then he'll start talking about how he can't think, and then he'll talk about how he wants to lie down. Calorie usage is right on. Being cold is great for burning calories because your body's trying to stay warm. So people have talked about, oh, walking around is not going to
think.
See, there we go. Too cold to think. People have been talking about how walking around would not burn this many calories, but it's not really walking around that's burning the calories. Although that makes it worse. It's trying to stay warm. Running, in particular, is going to burn a lot of calories, not because you're burning a lot of calories, but because you're breathing hard. Anyone who's ever been in cold weather and tried to run knows it for a horrifically painful experience, because you have no choice but to bring lungfuls of 20-25 degree below air directly into the inside of your body, where it promptly tries to freeze you. There's a few little things that are missing, like snow blindness. So if it's snowing quite a bit and it's bright out, you get what's called a snow blindness, which is where you can't see anything because of the glare, and goggles or sunglasses would be used to combat that. And for the record, this thing right here, it's pronounced toque. I know it's not spelled toque, but it's pronounced toque. I do not blame anyone outside of Canada for not knowing what that word is, because there are people in Canada that, when they see it written down, don't know what the heck it is, but it's a toque, and it's a wool cap, sort of in the rough style of a beanie, and it is made of wool or cotton, and it is primarily the ubiquitous headgear for Canadian winters. Everyone wears a toque. Some people wear them with little cotton balls. They're called pom-poms on the top. Generally the women or the more confident men will wear the ones with the pom-pom. Others will wear just a straight cap. But it is warm and it is necessary. They teach us this stuff in school when you're a kid in Canada. They teach you that, 80% of your body heat is lost through your head, so you have to wear your hat or you die. They do teach you a lot about the weather, the winter, when you're in that part of Canada where it gets cold, which is the majority of Canada. They teach you about frostbite. They teach you about hypothermia. They teach you how to stay dry, what to do if you fall through the ice. There's an actual very specific thing that you do to get out of the ice, and then what do you do? How do you deal with a sudden acute hypothermia? I guess it's called exposure now, but it's called hypothermia. Being wet and cold is pretty much a surefire way to die in Canada in the winter. Like, I love the game. If anyone who's related to the developing people hear this, this criticism is meant to be constructive because I absolutely loved the game. I bought it at like 9:06 on the day it came out for early access. I also want to give a shout out to their Facebook crew. I put a question on there, and they not only did they answer, which kudos, because it's always cool when someone from the gaming community actually answers, but they answered on a Sunday. So, like, first of all, what are you doing working on a Sunday? And second of all, what are you doing checking your corporate Facebook on a Sunday? And that's just, it's a level of commitment that I have to commend. So this wind is something else as well. I mean, the sound is perfect. And the thing about wind, if you haven't experienced wind at sub-zero temperatures, air is heavier when it's cold. And so 20-kilometer-an-hour wind will hit you much harder at 20 below zero than it will at 20 above zero. So this wind is perfect. Just listen to that. It makes me want to turn my back to it. If you're walking in this kind of wind, you're hunched over. You're not looking it in the face. Oh hell! And now I die. Well, this has been Nerds in the Wild, and this has been me criticizing the depth of snow, but not a heck of a lot else in this game. So, thanks for listening, and buy the game. It's available on Steam Early Access. It's $19.99 US, and well worth it. There's only a sandbox mode right now, but story mode to follow. If you enjoy sort of immersive ambient games with heavy realism, this is your thing.